Hello. Oh, it's working. Okay. So, welcome. You lasted long enough, and this is one of the last presentations of today's evening. And its original title was Make Your Audience Travel With You. So basically, that's going to be the theme of the presentation. We're going to take you on holiday, basically. You have your well-deserved, well-earned rest. Yeah, we're going to talk about traveling and more about adventure. And we're going to share with you how adventures and travels can be a vehicle not only for your own memories and your holidays and postcards, but also a vehicle for telling and reporting on very important issues and grabbing attention. And more importantly, we're going to try to answer a single question, and that question is, why might you need a bicycle to save the world? And every story and needs characters. So we're going to start with the most valuable and important part and character of this story. Welcome, Kamila Kielar.
I've been traveling for over 15 years. I'm specializing in the north, but I would call myself rather adventurer than a traveler. And I'm very, very nature-oriented. And surprise, surprise, I do report and tell the stories. And the missing link of the project, Krzysztof's story.
So yeah, me again, unfortunately. I'm a freelance journalist from Poland, based in Krakow. I write for one of the Polish weekly magazines, Tygodnik Powszechny, some of you may know it. And I'm also a traveler and an adventurer of sorts. And you must understand Poland in a way that we love to hear about other people traveling. It's a specific market. We have over 100 travel festivals throughout the country. So Polish people love to hear about other people traveling. So we spent a lot of time on stages like this. Travel festivals, photography festivals, and we've noticed one thing. Telling the story of your travel doesn't really change much. Well, it provides entertainment, that's for sure, and it's fun, but it isn't like thought-provoking in any way, if you follow. Most of the presentations we've seen throughout the years were mostly about the author themselves, about their own memories, postcards, beautiful pictures, funny, drunk memories, and stuff like that. And that's fun. That's completely fine, and we love to hear all the stories as well. But today, we are trying to share with you a slightly different idea about traveling, and it pretty much comes down to one single quote. We call it adventure journalism, and the quote is, "We don't tell stories about traveling. We travel to tell a story."
Today we are here with you. Today we are here with you, but literally 3 days ago we were somewhere else. So we were in Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, in the desert over there. And to be more precise with you, we were scouting around the Aral Sea. And the Aral Sea lies in both of those countries, and we were scouting what is going around over there. And that was actually our newest project. We were there to get some materials for the project, and we called our project so that Drop in the Ocean. You know, you may be confused with me keep saying all the time Aral Sea, sea, and now you can see the ocean. It is just because the idioms in both languages, have just like mean the same, but different idioms. But in fact, Aral Sea is not an ocean. It's not even a sea. It is just an ordinary lake.
So basically that's how modern marketing works, I guess. They promise you an ocean, you pay for a sea, and all you get is just an ordinary lake. But yeah.
So we took our bikes from Poland all the way to Kazakhstan to get to the sea on the roads like this. And the Aral Sea itself, once it used to be a huge lake. one of the biggest lakes in the world. Actually, it was on the 4th place in the world. And this was just 50 years ago. And there were 2 rivers, Amu Darya and Sirdarya, both combined, supplying Aral Sea with 60 cubic kilometers of water every single year. But over there in that region, besides sea, besides river, there were also sick idea of making Uzbekistan world leader in cotton, which is ridiculous because, you know, cotton as a plant requires a lot, huge amount of water. And we are on the desert. So basically they took all the water from the rivers to irrigate all the cotton fields. That 40 years later, it led to dry out of the sea. So after those 40 years, drying out the Aral Sea became one of the biggest ecological disaster of 20th century.
Yeah, so
but actually,
sorry.
that's okay. Actually, lack of the water is not the only problem that is in the region because of the situation. All the toxic chemicals and fertilizers that were used to grow the cotton were actually, they didn't evaporate with the water. They stayed in the ground. They make soil toxic. And all the wind take all that toxic dust and make people very, very sick in the area. So what was formerly a seabed, right now, it is mostly sea, salt, salt, and some toxic chemicals.
Yep, a lot of salt, pesticides, and toxic things, and no sea. To check out and report on that, we chose to take bicycles to Uzbekistan, and that's our adventure. Over 1,000 kilometers of cycling and sleeping in tents and flying a kite in the middle of the desert, of endless steppes in Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan. Well, it makes no sense. Obviously, the story is there. You can see these images. Right now, there is between those fishing boats rusting on the desert and the closest water, it's like 130 kilometers. That's how much of the sea we lost from all sides. And we chose to cycle through it and tell this story. And at first it doesn't make any sense, because why really would we tell a 50-year-old story even of a big ecological disaster? Basically, why bother? There is no new information really. So why did we do it?
In fact, all that story of Aral Sea, it is just a trick we use. It is a trap for the audience. Because we use travel and we use our story to talk about the bigger issues, to talk about shortage of the water. Because history of the Aral Sea, it is not only about past, it is about what is happening, repeatedly in almost every country, also here in Poland. Here we have huge problem with shortage of water. Our water reserves are actually way smaller than water reserves in Spain, which is considered, one of the driest countries in Europe. So through this story of the Aral Sea, through the story of our journey, we want to show some bigger issues, especially when we are talking about issues that are driven by some ideologies, which happens here in our country, and our government wanted to have some serious river regulations here in Poland.
Yeah, we are on the verge of building, in Poland there are plans for building the so-called E40 water road, and reintroducing river transport, which might be possibly very terrible for agriculture, economy and environment at first. So we want to, let's say we want to make people care about that. We want to make our audience care about that. Go to protests, vote differently, pay attention. So how to spread the word? How to grasp our audience attention? Because just ordinary reporting from our country doesn't seem to cut the job, really. Scaring people with scientific data doesn't cut the job. So we figured we're going to use this travel project, this adventure, these colorful pictures as an incentive for people to follow, as decoy of sorts. And that way, what we want to do is not to create another important piece that would be read by few hundred people. We want to create a viral effect. And that's how, what ecology and this kind of reporting really needs for it to be massive. And in that way, it needs to be colorful, spectacular, and it needs to be a viral in a way, because it's only good if it's large scale, if it's popular, if it has followers, if it reaches enough people. That way we came to a sober and not very happy conclusion that ecology in this way, or all important and complicated issues, are not going to defend themselves. We came to the conclusion that ecology, like everything else, is a product, and it needs marketing, like everything else. And you need to market the safety of the rivers and water the same way you market cars, chips, coffee, whatever.
So, as Krzysztof said, scaring people with scientific data doesn't work. People also get immune to information like we as a humanity gonna extinct in some years, or there are how many plants dying every single year. So, if we want people to have people who are engaged, who really care about environment, we need to make our stories, important stories, as attractive as we can, as only is possible. So therefore, for that project, we don't want to focus on one way of telling the stories. The plan is to use as many ways as possible. So first, printed press, which is basics for both of us, and kind of obvious, right? Also, I don't need to advertise social media. Here in Poland, we have every year, we have 150 travel festivals every single year. It is a crazy country, so interested in hearing stories. But this is perfect market for us to spread our story. Also, we have movies. And movie, actually, it is our main goal, to make a movie, post it on YouTube, and do not stop over there.
I know. Keep talking. You're making good sense.
Keep talking. Of course, we both also do the photography and can publish in and do exhibitions and so on and so on. Yeah, but as I mentioned, the most important for us is a video. The video we're gonna present and put it on YouTube and try to make it viral. That's obvious. But we are not gonna to stop there. There is a plan to make the whole series out of that. Actually, the whole plan is not to stop there, but just make something as, adventure Netflix.
Yeah. So our idea is to produce sort of viral, colorful, full of adventure videos about concerning, and use this as a vehicle for talking about problems with water. We have many ideas for that, but why, really? Why would you need, in the story of the Aral Sea, of one of the biggest ecological disasters in the 20th century, why would you need to introduce a bike, a rusty bike, a dusty bags, a tent, really badly smelling sleeping bags and stuff like that? Why are they the part of the story? Well, again, we live in a world where good content and important content doesn't defend itself just because it is important. Just because we need to care doesn't mean we actually will. So we use this whole adventure purpose as to grab our viewers' attention and then use it for a good purpose. for really reporting on issues we see as really important. And in that way, our goal is not to report, to tell our audience about what we think, not to show them what we think, but to make them travel with us. And as we said before, this is a fresh project, so we're not going to have any numbers yet, but well, as you've seen on the photo before of a happy camel, we at least provoked one honest and very engaged reaction from the camel. Yeah, so I think we're going in the right direction with this.
Yeah, we are going to take our audience with us, because if we want to make people care, they need to be emotionally involved. And people are involving themselves, you know, first in the stories, good stories. They're also can be emotionally connected to the characters. In that case, both of us. They can get emotionally connected to our emotions, our adventures. So that actually, on the very serious problem, some journalistic case of one of the biggest disasters which is still happening today, we can see bikes, tents, and adventures. So there's actually, this is an answer to the question that Christopher asked in the very, very beginning of the presentation. So why do we need bikes to save the world?
Actually, bikes alone will not save the world. We also need to take action. But yeah, let's keep talking about bikes, because they're wonderful vehicles. And to sum this up, I'm going to sum this up from a journalist's point of view. We live in a world where every piece of data imaginable is available to everyone in this country and half of the world connected to the internet with a few clicks. We don't lack data. We need more data, but there is no shortage of that. What we really need is vehicles for this data. We need a way to tell stories, to really provoke reactions. And this sort of idea, this is our idea of how that actually might work, and we kind of see it resonate with people. So I'm going to leave you with the thought that vehicles and the way you tell your story is sometimes in today's world is more important than the story itself and revealing new scoops and new facts.
And from the adventurer's point of view, actually your traveling doesn't need to be about you. It doesn't need to be a perfect holiday, you know, postcard, or it doesn't need to be about you. You can use your adventure to tell the bigger story. You can make a story out of the adventure. It is you just have to do it about the story. So we are here to share like our biggest idea, just to travel to tell and take the audience with you.
Yeah, don't forget them. Yeah, thank you very much. To our last comment, if any of this made sense to you, we strongly believe in networking. We're part of a few cross-border projects other than this. And if you feel like this makes sense to you, or you're doing the same thing, or you just want to see how we ride bicycles through the desert, just let's stay in touch. Thank you very much.
Thank you.